Hello, listeners. The PCPS would like to invite you to a whole new way of supporting this podcast. With much gratitude to our monthly supporters on Patreon, we've listened to those of you who like choices, and some of you would prefer to make a one-time donation instead. Done. You can now go to the PCPS website at poppreservationist.com and scroll down until you see a button that says Help Us Keep On Truckin'. The Pop Culture Preservation Society is a completely independent production, written, produced, and distributed by Carolyn, Kristen, and Michelle, and your monetary support is our only source of revenue. This is what pays our bills and keeps the podcast up and running. If you'd like perks to go along with your donation, then a monthly Patreon membership is still the right choice for you. You can choose a level of support that fits your budget, Superstar, Solid Gold, or Bicentennial, and get PCPS extras in your inbox as a token of our appreciation. Episode extras or outtakes, bonus material, downloadable art, and more. And if you still just want to make a one-time donation, you can pay for a full year at once and get a fat discount. We are good Minnesotans, so we hate to inconvenience you, but we will if it means we get to keep doing this job. Thank you so much, and please enjoy the show.
Watching it all together, I mean, you talk about nipple lightning. My nipple lightning has nipple lightning, if that makes sense.
Nipples on your nipples.
Nipples on nipples.
Hello world is a song that we're singing. Come on, get happy. A whole lot of loving is what we'll be bringing. We'll make you happy.
Welcome to the Pop Culture Preservation Society, the podcast for people born in the big wheel generation who still owe Columbia House $1 for the 13 records they ordered.
We believe our Gen X childhoods gave us unforgettable songs, stories, characters, and images, and if we don't talk about them, they'll disappear like Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition.
And today, we're saving the TV theme songs of the shows of the 80s. You know, the ones that have been living in our heads rent-free for over 40 years. I'm Carolyn.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Michelle. And we are your pop culture preservationists.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I feel like this episode, like so many others, should come with a spoiler, a warning. Adjust your volume accordingly, listeners. There will be singing. I mean, it would be impossible for us not to sing this episode, right? And you're welcome in advance because this is going to be so much fun. You guys, we've said it before and we'll say it again. Our generation's TV shows, and we're talking late 60s all the way through to the late 80s, had the best theme songs. Full stop. I don't care if it was a sitcom, a drama, a children's show, a cartoon. The theme songs from the shows that aired during our time were irresistibly singable, or the kind of instrumentals that ingrained themselves into your very cells.
Mm-hmm. It's so
Amen.
true. And the 80s was a very unique time for theme songs because there was a distinct flavor that they came with that was different from the story songs that we had in the 1970s, where the theme song told you the story of what was happening. Here's a story of a lovely lady, or sit right back and I'll tell a tale. What is it? Sit right back and
Can
I'll
you hear a tale?
Hear a tale.
A
Yep.
tale of a fateful trip.
The 80s was different.
Yeah, it was more like they were giving you an idea of just the feel of the show more
Right.
than the story of the show, right?
Oh, that's
Even
a
the
really good
instrumentals
point.
gave you a feel.
Yes, it was
of
a
what the
total
show
feel.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. So at our last Worldwide Crush book event, when we had our adult book fair or our grown-up book fair, not our XXX book fair, we had a DJ.
Wait,
And
our
DJ
what?
It was not
you know,
adult
adult
book
books.
fair is not
Yeah.
XXX. It's for grown-ups. We found that became a little communication problem that we had.
Well, it's like the whole thing, like commas are important instead of like,
Yes,
let's
right.
eat, comma, kids. And if you don't use a comma, it's let's eat kids.
Let's eat kids.
No, so, yeah.
Yeah. So it was the grown-up book fair, not the adult book fair. And we had a DJ at this event, and she dug so deep on the songs that would be important to people our age, very in particular. And she dug out so many theme songs, and that was unexpected for me. And it just made me realize how much of a bigger role theme songs played in our lives than they would in kids today.
Okay, so once again, we were flooded with responses when we crowdsourced and asked you all, what was your favorite 80s TV theme songs? Hundreds of you had feelings and lists, long lists of 80s songs. Truly, you guys, some of you get very passionate about your choices when we crowdsource. Like, I think some of you would choose this as the hill you would die on when we ask you your choices. But we love that engagement. So thank you to all of you who chimed in.
And also, just listeners know, we actually tabulate all of your responses. Maybe there's a lot of other podcasts who ask for your opinion. Right? We sit here and we read them aloud to Kristen, who, as you all know, is the Pop Culture Preservation Society mathematician. We read all the answers aloud, and Kristen has spreadsheets and Excel things, and she has adding machines and calculators, and she is actually tabulating all of your votes. So,
and this time it took a full 45 minutes just for Michelle to read
It did.
line by line your choices to me and have me tabulate them. We sat here still for 45 minutes.
But it was so fun because so many of you, though, would come up with some that we were like, what? And then, of course, we have to do a little, go down a wormhole where we're going, what was that one? And then we Google it and we're like, I remember that. But what I thought was interesting is that some of the 70s TV shows that made our previous list, our first TV theme song top 10 list, which was way back in July of 2021, y'all. So if you haven't listened to that one, go back. That's a really fun one. But some of them made that list, didn't this time, even though they lasted into the 80s. For instance, 8 is Enough, which I think placed very high on our first one.
Yeah.
It didn't even, I don't even remember if anybody even mentioned that one. That did last until 1981. The Love Boat, which also made our last list, lasted until 86. And those are just to name two, but I don't know. I'm wondering why. Is it because we stopped watching them in their later seasons as we kind of aged out of them? Is it because maybe we think of those more as 70s shows because they started in the 70s and this time we said, we want 80 songs even if they did start in the 70s? I don't know. It was weird. We do have one or two on this list that did make our last list. So who knows? What is it? I don't know.
But I think both of those things are spot on. I think people think of 70s shows, even if they lasted into the 80s, that will always be a 70s show to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Love Boat to me, when I just looked that up and saw that it lasted till 86, I was like, what? That
That's
can't
a
be
70s
right.
show.
It's a 70s show to me, even though it didn't start till the late 70s. Weird.
And so we tallied up all of the responses from our followers and we added those numbers to our own personal favorite lists of favorites. And we came up with a distinct list of the 10 best theme songs from 80s TV shows as determined by the Pop Culture Preservation Society. That's you. And in true PCPS fashion, there will be ties. And it's not that I can't do math. It's just that this particular group of people can't seem to commit to one single answer.
No, it's a good point.
Right? And so, guess what? If you mentioned more than one TV theme song as your favorite, we count them both. You're welcome. Because how does that not count?
Right.
That totally counts. Just count this as one of the many ways that the PCPS differs in its approach to pop culture dominance and math.
Right. It's that Gen X math.
That's right.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 50.
Okay, so here's something important, you guys. We talked about this a bit in our previous TV theme song episode from a few years ago. I think you said it was 2021, Michelle. But it bears repeating because there's one man who really dominated 1980s TV theme songs. He even has an album called TV Theme Songs. And they're all written by him. A whole album of TV theme songs written by him. And that man is Mike Post. You probably know that name from hearing it on the radio. Mike Post started out as the musical director of the Andy Williams Show at age 24. He was 24 years old. And his big breakthrough came in 1975 when he was asked to co-write the theme song for the Rockford Files. And this got big radio play, and it became a top 10 hit. After that, it seemed like every time somebody needed a theme song, they went to Mike Post. So he wrote everything, including The A-Team, Baa Black Sheep, Blossom, The Commish, Doogie Howser, The Greatest American Hero, Hardcastle and McCormick, Hooperman, Hunter, Magnum P.I., News Radio, Quantum Leap, Renegade, Riptide, Silk Stockings, 10-Speed and Brown Show, and The White Shadow. Did I say Brown Show? 10-Speed and Brown Shoe? And The White Shadow. I mean, I had to take a breath in that list.
Yes.
And I don't think that's all of them. I think I just got tired of writing him down. He won Grammys for Hill Street Blues in 1981 and LA Law in 1988. And he also wrote all of the Law and Order themes, including the dun-dun, the sound effect, dun-dun.
Yeah.
Which is basically a pop culture icon now.
I was about to say, he's probably made millions of dollars. He probably has a home in the Cayman Islands just that was paid for by
Dun-dun.
Totally.
Wait.
Well, good
Isn't
for
that
him.
amazing?
Good for him.
I know. Okay, so having that little piece of information in the back of your mind that one man was responsible for so much of the theme songs of the 1980s, it is time for our official countdown of the PCPS Top 10 TV Theme Songs of the 1980s.
In the number 10 spot, we have a tie, our first tie.
Starting off strong.
Right.
Shocking. And tied at number 10 is the theme song from Growing Pains.
As long as we got each other, we got the world spinning right in our hands, baby.
Growing Pains ran from 1985 to 1992. And don't forget, you guys, this was a time when 30-minute comedies, or 23 minutes plus ad time, were willing to devote up to a full minute to their opening theme. So the song was crucial. And this is when we got some great ones that are on this list that you're about to hear. And what I would argue, even this many decades later, I'm not going to do that math, Kristen, you can do it later if you want. But all these decades later, I would argue that these theme songs on this list remain just at the top of TV theme songs forever.
Oh,
I think.
absolutely.
For sure.
Because they're songs. They're actual
Yeah.
songs.
Right.
Yeah, and they mean something. Some of the songs of the later ones don't, you're like, what? Huh? So Growing Pains producers commissioned, not Mike Post, but John Bettis. Does that name ring a bell
Ooh,
with you?
It does,
Yes.
but why?
Is
Because
this Carpenter?
John, yes, Carolyn. Good
Carolyn.
job. Bettis, he had co-written hits for the Carpenters, including Top of the World and Yesterday Once More. So Bettis and Steve Dorff, whose credits include I Just Fall in Love Again by Anne Murray. Oh, and one of my very favorite Kenny Rogers songs. Actually, just probably one of my very favorite songs, Through the Years by Kenny Rogers. They're responsible for As Long as We've Got Each Other. So how could this theme song be anything but incredible? And it was. I'm so surprised that this fell to the bottom of this list. For me, the lyrics are right up there with the theme from Family Ties. As long as we've got each other, we've got the world spinning right in our hands. You guys, and now it makes sense that the writers are also responsible for some of my very favorite songs, like Top of the World and Through the Years. So in season 1, As Long as We've Got Each Other was sung entirely by B.J. Thomas. Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Gosh.
And he was joined in season 2 by Jennifer Warnes, best known for her
Two
duet
big
with
names.
Joe
Yes.
Cocker,
Oh
Up
my
Where We
God.
Belong. Yeah. By season 4, the show was a hit. They recorded a full version of the theme for radio play that was recorded by B.J. Thomas and Dusty Springfield. Remember Dusty Springfield?
yes.
Yeah, this is crazy,
You're
right?
blowing my mind here.
But the Thomas Warnes version reappeared in season 5, and then an a cappella version with studio singers was used in the final 2 seasons.
Okay, that is so, and this sort of sets up the theme for these 80s theme songs. Say those lyrics again, as long as we're together.
Show me that smile.
Show me that smile. Don't waste another minute on your crying. We're nowhere near the best is ready to begin. Oh, as long as we got each other, we got the world spinning right in our hands, baby, you and me. We gotta be the luckiest dreamers tonight.
That encapsulates that's how 80s theme songs went. It was all about love and being together.
Well, in these family shows,
and family.
for certain it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about that more when we get to Family Ties, which does make the list. We're just not going to tell you where yet.
Okay, so tied in the number 10 spot with Growing Pains is a song that is appropriately back-to-back with the song in the number 9 spot, because they are both written by Mike Post, this dude that we just talked about. And they were both mainstays on WLOL radio when I was at Fred Moore Junior High. So I knew these songs and I loved these songs, even though I didn't watch the shows. I did not watch these 2 shows, but I know these songs and I love them. At number 10, tied with Growing Pains, is the theme song for Magnum P.I., followed by Hill Street Blues in the number 9 spot. So Magnum P.I. was released as a single in 1982, and it peaked at number 25 on the charts. And Hill Street Blues is a 1981 instrumental, well, I guess Magnum is an instrumental too, by Mike Post that spent over 5 months on the charts. And it became Mike Post's second top 10 hit, matching the success of Rockford Files. And I remember Hill Street Blues standing out because it was a cop show with this very gentle, tinkly piano song for its theme. It was very tinkly.
Tinkle is one of my favorite words, by the way.
It is a great word.
Tinkle.
I just love.
We call Axel's penis his tinkler.
Oh, my.
His tinkler is full. To take him out because his tinkler's full. So there are no synthesizers, there's no drum machine, there's no action, unlike Magnum P.I., which feels like it's entirely driven by that helicopter in the opening scenes, right? It's like you can almost hear the rotors of the helicopter in the theme song itself.
And now we're at number 8, and we have a big tie at number 8.
This is where they're all clustered.
Yeah, we have a 4-way tie at number 8. Actually, this is our last tie.
Yeah, then the ties are done. If we can make it through 8, we're golden.
You know what? This is a PCPS record, I think.
I think so, yeah.
That the ties are done at number 8. Well,
someday we're going to have number 1. There's going to be a tie for number 1, and that's going to be awkward.
Gosh,
Oh,
yes.
eeks. Yeah. Well, the first song tied for the number 8 spot is the theme song from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Just a good old voice, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born.
Written and sung by Waylon Jennings, Good Old Boys. It's undeniably a great singable song, right? But you guys, it's for a pretty awful show. I mean, did they or did they not have the Confederate flag
hated this
on
show
their
so
car that
much.
was named the General Lee? And I know that, like, I mean, it's so cringy today. And I get it. Everyone's like, well, you know, everybody's so sensitive about that. But come on. It's so cringy today. We can't forget, though, in 1979 to 1985 when Dukes aired, I mean, this was a part of culture that people just ignored.
Sure
kind
it
of.
was.
I mean,
good
they did.
people. Good people.
Yeah.
I have completely, utterly, staunchly feminist friends who loved Dukes of Hazzard. Whereas, you know, little Kristen, I just could not stand she wore those little shorts because I knew why they put the little shorts on her, the Daisy Dukes. It's like
Well,
I
it's
just
like-
intuited that.
Talk
Boss
about pop
Hog scared
culture.
me.
I mean, shorts are called Daisy Dukes now
Yes.
because of
Yes.
her short
That's
shorts.
right.
And she always had to bend over to look
Oh,
into
of
the General
course.
Lee.
Oh, yes, of course. Into the General Lee.
And it just drove me crazy. And my
That's a
brother
car,
would watch
people.
it. Yeah, that's the car. I would tattle on my brother for watching this show, and my mom would look at me like, what? Like,
Yeah.
like I
And-
thought he
and-
was doing something bad. She's like, shut up. He's just watching a TV show.
And listeners understand, we all totally understand the appeal that Tom Wopat and John Schneider. I mean, this was a huge show. We're not knocking your show that you all loved. We're honestly not. It just wasn't for us at the time.
These are
However,
personal
the theme
opinions,
song
right,
was,
yeah.
I loved the theme song. I loved to sing the theme song. You know,
I also could not stand that, and I know this isn't a thing about Dukes of Hazzard. We're talking about the song. However, it drove me crazy that they would jump into their car instead of opening the car door.
know.
And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be faster? Like if you're always trying to get away from Boss Hog, wouldn't it be faster to just make the doors open? It seemed to waste so much time.
they had incredible core strength though, and we got
Yeah,
to
they
see
did.
that a lot in their poster. So can you imagine can you imagine any of us holding the top of the car and jumping in? The core strength it takes to lift your lower torso over the core.
It's like a reverse burpee.
I couldn't do it.
That might have to be our next music trivia game. That might have to be the loser has to try to hop into a car.
Oh my God,
Dukes of
without
Hazzard
opening
way.
the door.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Then I'd have a trip to the hospital if I were the one to lose.
No disrespect to those of you who love Dukes of Hazzard, because we know that
no.
lots of people
Yeah.
loved it. They didn't like those damn shorts. Not that Daisy didn't have the right to wear whatever she wanted to wear.
That is true.
I knew they made her wear the shorts. That's what it was. Okay, I'm belaboring the point. I'll shut up now.
Okay. Also tied at number 8 happens to be one of my favorite TV theme songs, and this would be the theme from Saint Elsewhere. And you guys, like many of the songs that we chat about on the podcast, the theme from Saint Elsewhere can immediately transport me back in time and watching the show with Andy. He and I were just talking the other night about it, and we realized that Saint Elsewhere was probably the first dramatic kind of must-see TV that we watched together.
Were you married or not yet married?
I think it was a little bit before. I mean,
Okay.
the show started before we were married, but we were like one of those couples that was kind of married when we weren't married. You know,
Yeah.
we just
Same.
did
Right,
everything
I would say.
together. And so I think it transcended being not married into being married. But, you know, we were glued to that show. So that theme song is very important to me. Actually, believe it or not, it also charted. It reached number 15 on the adult contemporary charts in 1984. So it was composed by notable jazz artist Dave Grusin. And his,
Wow.
yes, his
I did not
resume
know that.
is quite impressive. So listen to this. In addition to TV theme songs, his other TV theme song credits include Maude, Good Times,
Oh, that's a
and
great theme.
Beretta.
I had no idea.
All great theme songs.
Yes, right? All ones we know, and I think maybe
Oh my God. I've
came
learned so
in
much
in
already.
some of our 70s ones. And even in some people's opinion, maybe more impressive is his list of film credits. So buckle up, you guys. Listen to that. The Graduate, On Golden Pond,
Oh, wow.
Heaven Can Wait, Tootsie, Goonies, The Fabulous Baker Boys, Hope Floats, and The Firm. How about them apples, you guys?
Well, that's a
They're
career,
all
isn't
fantastic.
it?
I will say that the soundtrack to Hope Floats, well, the movie itself too is one of my very favorites, but all of them, Goonies, that's great
I know.
music.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all such beautiful instrumentals. He probably is Mike Post's next door neighbor in Grand Cayman.
Oh, I bet you're right.
I was going to
Yep.
say
My
that. Yeah.
goodness.
Yep,
sure.
they're neighbors. They share a keyboard. Okay, so our second to last entry into the number 8 spot is a show that was not on for very long, but it is memorable. And that is the theme song to Square Pegs, Square Pegs, Square Pegs. I loved this show so much.
No.
Square Pegs aired on CBS for just one very memorable season during the 1982-83 season. And the series was about 2 awkward teenage girls played by Sarah Jessica Parker and Amy Linker, who were desperate to fit in at Wee Maui High School. So essentially they were playing all of us. How
Yeah.
could it fail, right? But fail, it did. And we learned from our interview with Susan Silver in episode fill in the blank. Michelle will come up with the number. That it only lasted one season because of gross mismanagement and dysfunction on the set and rampant drug use on the set. Wah,
Yeah.
wah.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of fun facts about Square Pegs that I'm going to save so it can have its own episode someday.
has to.
Because this was a big show for Fred Moore Junior High. And one
Wait,
of the
I'm going to stop
most-
you right there. Who
Yeah.
the hell is Fred Moore? I've heard about him
don't know.
so much. You don't know? You didn't have to
No, I don't
learn
even
the
know.
history of Fred Moore.
Isn't that
'cause your
crazy?
school was named after. Well, I'm gonna
And
find
also,
that out.
it was never Moore Junior High. It was Fred Moore.
Yeah, you say it
Right.
very
The
specifically.
way you say it, I used to always think, is it Fred Moore or is it Fred Moore? But I always figure
Fred
that it's Fred
Moore.
More, but the
His
way
first
yeah.
and last name, Fred Moore. It would be
okay.
like having Abraham Lincoln Elementary School.
I guess because
Yeah.
it's just one syllable for each. Anyway,
Fred
I'm gonna find out
Yeah.
who Fred Moore is.
Please do.
Go
You'd
ahead.
think they would tell us, right?
You
or there'd
would
be
think
some
you'd have to
plaque
know.
or something.
Yeah, or his picture.
Yeah. No idea who Fred Moore is.
Okay.
So one of the most memorable things about Square Pegs was the theme song. It was so 1982. It was performed by the Waitresses from their album I Could Rule the World If I Could Only Get the Parts. And the Waitresses were a new wave band from Akron, Ohio. And they are technically one-hit wonders with the song I Know What Boys Like, I Know What Guys Want. That was their top 40 hit. But now they have another top 40 hit because of Christmas. Because you will hear on your Christmas radio station every year the Waitresses song Christmas Wrapping.
Dashing through the snow, 'cause I bundled up too tight. Last minute had to do a few cards, a few calls because it's RSVP.
So Square Pegs, the theme, had this very staccato, square pegs, square pegs.
Square pegs.
And then these very deadpan spoken parts that are so high school and so 1982, and they really sum up the predicament of the teenage main characters. And she says it so deadpan. She's like, don't want to wear my glasses, but I have to wear my glasses.
I like that. I'd like it if they like us, but I don't think they like us.
That's so true. Has there ever
So
been a bigger
true.
truth than that?
Yeah.
But this one is my favorite. Really funny. Who broke the pie button on my calculator?
It's so great.
Is brilliant.
Always never quite right. I'd like it if they like us, but I don't think they like us. Don't wanna wear
Okay,
my
so for
glasses.
Ty, the very last song that we have in our number 8 category, we have a whole category of number 8. Our very last entry is from the show Angie. Angie has so much support behind us. And
It's
this was-
incredible.
It's incredible
How is it
how
on
many
this
people
list?
love this show. I know. This show was on for 5 minutes. Angie aired on ABC from February 8th, 1979 to September 4th, 1980. It just squeaks into the 80s. That's not even a full season. And it stars Donna Pescow, Robert Hayes, and Doris Roberts as her mother. And the show actually drew a lot of comparisons to Rhoda. The character Angie was an Italian Catholic version of the Jewish character of Rhoda Morgenstern. They're both from these very close-knit ethnic families with sisters as best friends and overbearing mothers. Doris Roberts was the Nancy Walker character, essentially. So the show's theme song was called Different World, and it was written by Norman Gimbel and Charles Fox, who wrote tons of theme songs, including Laverne and Shirley. And it was performed by Maureen McGovern, who also sang the theme song to Towering Inferno, right? Is that?
It's one of those, or the Poseidon. It might be
Morning
the,
after.
Yeah, she's still.
is that
like,
not the Poseidon Adventure?
Oh, maybe? Okay. We'll have
It's
to do
one
some
of those
fact-checking.
huge disaster films that scared the
Yes.
poop out of us when we were kids. But
Yes. It's a big disaster movie, and it was a huge hit. But actually, this hit was even bigger. Different Worlds peaked at number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it spent 2 weeks at number 1 on the Adult Contemporary
really?
chart. Yes, it was a number 1 hit on the Adult Contemporary chart. And it has that same Growing Pains kind of feeling to it. Let the time flow, let the love grow.
Let the rain shower, let the rose flower. Love it cease, and love it rise, love it conquers.
It's all about love and rain showers and rose flowers and being together, and love it finds, love it conquers, love it. It's just so happy. It is the happiest
it is so
song.
happy.
And I read some comments on, I think it was YouTube, that just really summed a lot of this up. One person said this beautiful song would probably be even better known had Angie played for more than just 1 year. ABC kept moving it to different time slots and then pulled the plug when they should have given it another year. I totally agree. That happened to so many good shows. They just moved it around. And if I don't know where the TV guide is, I don't know when Angie's on.
Right.
And this song could have been even bigger. But listen to this. This is another commenter, and this is so funny. Okay, stay with me here. Helen Reddy played a singing nun in the movie Airport 75. Maureen McGovern spoofed Helen Reddy's performance in Airplane, the movie Airplane. Helen Reddy had a hit single with Angie Baby. Maureen McGovern's hit was the theme from Angie. Don't be confused. Helen Reddy and Maureen McGovern know the difference.
Well, and the star of the show, Robert Hayes, was the star of Airplane.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Let's not forget. Right? This one was such an example of how our followers on social media Husker Du me. We talk about,
Yeah.
we'll share things all the time that you guys get Husker Du. And those of you who are new listeners, that means when you get that, what? That, I've never thought of that in many decades type
Yeah.
of, realization. This was, I kept going, Angie, why is everybody putting Angie down? So I just, you just go on YouTube and watch it. Not only did the theme song just like instantly, the part of my brain where it's been held for decades just, started firing. But then I realized, oh, I watched that show. Like,
Yes.
I love that
I did
show.
too.
I would have never thought of it again
I
until I
know.
died. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Also,
wondering-
speaking of Airplane, can we please do Airplane as an
Oh my God.
episode one day?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Talk about crossover. I mean, everybody you'd see that, oh my gosh, there's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's just
Okay, let's get out of the number 8 category.
Okay.
Carolyn, what do we have in the number
Yes.
7 spot?
Coming in at number 7 would be the theme from Moonlighting.
Someone by night, some by day. Nothing could change you, set and sure of the way.
And this theme song was written and performed by the great Al Jarreau. And there were actually 2 versions of the song. So seasons 1 through 3 of the show only played the first verse, but the following seasons all had a longer version, and that's the one that became the hit on the radio, the one that we probably know and sing along to. It reached number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on the adult contemporary charts in 1987. These TV theme songs really like the adult contemporary chart, don't they?
Definitely. I thought that too when you said that.
And it earned 2 Grammy nominations in 1988 for Al Jarreau. But here you go, guys. Here's my fun fact. Would you believe that our friends over at Yacht or Nyat, and if those listeners don't remember our Yacht Rock episode, the kings of determining whether something is yacht rock or not have a website called Yacht or Nyat, and they have a scale, and they determine whether a song falls into the Yacht or Nyat category. Moonlighting received a score of 59, which means it is considered yacht rock.
It squeaked in. It's a squeaker.
Did.
It has
Well,
to
you
be
got that
50 or
jazz-
more to be yacht
Yes.
rock.
Did you guys watch Moonlighting?
No, I never did.
Off and on. Yeah, it was a cute show. I think it was one of those that there was, if I went back and looked at the year and the day it was on and what it was up against, I could probably figure out why I didn't all the time.
That's my situation too. And yet, much like all the other songs or shows from the 80s, I still knew everything about it.
Right.
I practically knew the storylines.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Coming in at number 6 is the theme song to Dallas.
Da, 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 da. Can't you see the flag girls in the marching band? They're whipping their flags around.
so Texas.
They got their
So
little
Texas.
boots on.
This theme song is so majestic. This theme came in at number 4 on my own personal list. I get chills when I hear it, but if then I watch it on YouTube, and if you all remember, they would split the screen into like 3 sections, and you're seeing Cowboy Stadium, you're seeing the oil wells, and I grew up off and on in Texas, so a lot of those memories, especially about time that I spent with my dad, are so familiar to me. And watching it all together, I mean, you talk about nipple lightning. My nipple lightning has nipple lightning, if that makes sense.
Nipples on your nipples.
Nipples on nipples. So the Dallas theme song was composed by Gerald Immel. I hope I'm saying his name right. If not, Gerald Immel. I'm terribly sorry. But he was an LA-based composer who originally broke into television scoring on Gunsmoke in the mid-70s. And actually, this is, I think, very interesting. The Dallas theme song was changed slightly with each new season, with some changes more noticeable than others. So it started with a very strong disco vibe to it, which isn't
Yes.
surprising because it started in 1978. But as it moved into the 80s, the song took on some 80s pop and even new wave characteristics. There's guitar riffs and horns, a synthesizer. So the song was the same, but at the same time, it was slightly different each season.
And I can hear them all. I can hear them all
Well,
in my head right now.
I just learned this on my research last night, and I haven't had time yet, but I want to go on YouTube
Yes.
now and go through starting at 78 and say theme song from season
Yep.
1, season 2, season 3, because I can't listen to it enough, right? So yeah, everybody, that's a fun little thing for you to do this afternoon. Did you guys watch Dallas?
Oh, yes,
yeah.
of course.
Oh, yeah, same,
Not the
yeah.
whole time. I didn't watch it the whole time, but I certainly did in the beginning.
I watched it almost the whole time. I think it was maybe the last few years. I didn't watch it at the very, very end because I remember when I learned that, that Bobby, it was all a dream.
Yeah,
You're during the
right.
whole dream. I was like, what? That's stupid. So, but that was something I watched with my mom, like religiously. And I was probably way too young, to be watching the exploits of JR and Sue Ellen and all
There's
JR's
no too young in the
mistresses. And
70s.
There really
there's
isn't.
there's no too young.
And remember Christopher Atkins?
Oh, yeah, with his banana hammock.
Okay, so coming in at number 5, the theme from Golden Girls.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
What else is there to say, you guys? Thank you for being a friend. It's a classic. It was written by Andrew Gold, who released the song in 1978. And the irony is not lost on me that his last name is Gold, and his song became the theme from Golden Girls.
Oh my God.
How about that? But you know what? It almost didn't become the theme because producers originally wanted to use the song Friends by Bette Midler, but the licensing fee was way too high. So somebody vaguely remembered this other song about friends that Andrew Gold had sung and was a hit in 1978. And well, the rest they say is history. So they chose Thank You for Being a Friend. And the song for the TV show was covered by vocalist Cynthia Fee, who at the time sang mostly commercial jingles. So we probably had heard her in our ears, but from singing commercial stuff. And I could say pretty confidently that her version, along with Andrew Gold's, both hold special places in my heart. They both take me to different places when I hear her voice singing it versus when I hear his voice singing it. And there are also some great covers to this song, you guys. John Mayer did one that's so good, and Cher. So I'm going to make sure we get those in the Weekly Reader.
Oh, good.
And also a few years ago, a video went viral on TikTok, and we'll share this also in the Weekly Reader. It was a guy that does a gospel version of the Golden Girls theme. And it was so popular that then people started doing those kind of TikTok videos where they're lip syncing the song.
Yes.
So he's over there. You guys, they are so good. And to hear that song sung in a gospel way, it puts a whole different spin on it. It's so great. It's so great. So we'll also put a link to that. But I've got to share with you my fun Andrew Gold fact.
Okay.
Okay. Sit right back, friends. His father is an Oscar-winning composer named Ernest Gold, and his mother is singer Marnie Nixon.
What?
Oh,
Why does that sound familiar?
Oh my God.
oh
Kristen
gosh,
knows.
because I was going to say, you may think, well, I've never heard of her before, but obviously
yes, I have.
I'd be wrong.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Yes, well, his mother is Marnie Nixon, and are you going to steal my thunder, Kristen?
No,
and
you
tell
can
us
say
how
it.
we
I'll
know
let
her?
you say it. But let me just say
Okay.
that my parents talk about, like, still to this day, we'll talk about this woman.
Oh,
so you
wow.
go ahead and tell us how we know Marnie Nix.
Well, I was going to say you may think you've never heard her sing before, but I know that you actually have, because she provided the singing voice for Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady and for Natalie Wood in West Side Story.
Here's another fun fact about Marnie Nix. She is, and I hope I have this right, if it's not this nun, it's another nun. I think she's the nun that took the
Yes.
spark plug out of
She is. Yes,
the
that's how
Von
I know
Trapp's
her.
car.
I was
yeah.
about to say, how do
gosh.
I know Marnie Nix?
Yeah.
It's associated with Sound of Music for sure. Yeah.
So she's not, obviously Julie Andrews does her own singing, but there's an awful lot of
Right.
nuns singing in Sound of
Yes.
Music, and Marnie Nix is one of them.
Well, how about that, you guys? And she's Andrew Gold's mom.
She waltzes on her way to mass and whistles on the stair. And
Okay, are you all ready to hear what's taking the number 4 spot?
Yes, let us
Yes,
know. What is
please.
number 4?
Coming in at number 4 is the theme song from The Facts of Life.
Of course.
you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life.
All right. Well, this theme song took the number 3 spot on my own list. It was very difficult to have it all the way down at number 3 because when I was in 5th grade, that's when The Facts of Life began. And I know, like so many of you guys listening and here, my present company, we were instantly obsessed with this show.
Instantly.
Oh my God. I wanted to live in boarding school. I wanted to wear roller skates all the time. Like I wanted those things. I wanted to have, an attic room. And I have such a vivid memory of standing outside at recess, singing this theme song with my friends and feeling so cool because we knew every single word. Now, let's not forget that meant we were true diehard fans because we only heard that song once per week. We didn't have VCRs yet to record and listen to it over and over. This is 1979. So when it was over and the show started, that was it until next Wednesday.
And
So
no
if you knew
internet.
all the words. And this is a little bit of an intricate song. It's so wildly singable, as you guys all know. It's such a bop. Fun fact, did you know that Alan Thicke wrote this theme song?
Oh, that
So
makes
Alan
sense.
Thicke and his wife, Gloria Loring, they wrote lots of theme songs, not as many as Mike Post, but they wrote a lot of theme songs. Well, Gloria Loring is the one, she's the vocalist on this Facts of Life theme song. And fun fact too, they created the Different Strokes theme song together. And fun fact, one of the voices behind It Takes Different Strokes, it's Alan Thicke's voice. But I love what Alan Thicke once said in an interview about the Facts of Life theme. He said, the challenge was you have 24 seconds to do something catchy and memorable and sum up the entire premise of the show in case somebody had never seen it before. You had to do it with an internal rhyme scheme and a perky little ditty. I think he check. The Facts of Life internal rhyme scheme was intricate and one that I remember finishing and saying, yeah, that's pretty good. That all rhymes. I got a lot of rhyming words in those 24 seconds. And all I think about when he says that is, when the boys you used to hate you date, it seems you best investigate the facts of life.
So good.
The facts of life.
So good.
Here's what's so great about that song. I mean, listen to all the rhyming words. You when you go and show you're growing now, like they're all rhyming, but go Google the Facts of Life theme song lyrics. You guys are going to be blown away. There's so many verses that never made air. I was reading some of them and going, don't know that. So yeah, pretty interesting.
I wonder why they do that.
I don't know. Listen, the rhyming, he did such a great job with the rhyming scheme in this. Mm-hmm. All I know is that there were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of little 5th, 6th, and 7th graders all around in 1979, 80, and 81 singing, when the boys you used to hate you date, it seems you best investigate the facts of life. The Facts of Life, right?
So awesome.
So great.
When the world never seems to be living up to your dreams, and suddenly you're finding out the facts of life are all about you.
So then we have number 3. What is in the number 3 spot?
Coming in at number 3 is and will forever be my number 1 personal TV theme song, and that is the theme song from Family Ties. I mean, these lyrics, you guys, come on. I bet we've been together for a million
years. And I bet we'll be together for a million more.
Oh, it's like I started breathing on the night we...
Without Us was co-written by Jeff Barry and Tom Scott. Jeff Barry, he had co-written many huge hits of the 60s, including, listen to this list, Do Wah Diddy, Do Ron Ron, Then He Kissed Me, Chapel of Love, River Deep, Mountain High, Leader of the Pack, and Sugar Sugar.
Wait, I know all of those songs. I know all of those songs.
His name's Jeff Barry, B-A-R-R-Y.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And Tom Scott, his co-writer, had followed in his father's footsteps. His father was named Nathan Scott, and he was a prolific composer for television and film. But Tom had previously written the TV theme song Gotcha for Starsky and Hutch, and had worked on background scores for several other shows.
Wait, the theme song for Starsky and Hutch is called Gotcha?
That's apparently.
That's awesome.
Without Us, yeah, I know, that's good, isn't it? Gotcha. And it has an exclamation point at the end. Gotcha. Without Us was originally performed for the first 10 episodes of season 1 by Dennis Tufano, I think Tufano, Dennis Tufano, and Mindy Sterling. But after that, and for the remainder of the show's 180 episode run, it was performed, as we all know, so beautifully by Johnny Mathis and Denise Williams.
Such a good pairing.
They just knocked that
So
song
good.
out
I know.
of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. What would
It
we
belongs
do,
to them.
baby,
Without
us? I want to say something real quick. At the beginning, we were talking about Jan, the DJ at our grown-up book fair, playing some theme songs. And I have this really great memory. And I think we have video proof of this because I think my husband videoed it. But Carolyn and I took the cardboard cutout of Harry Styles. She played Without Us. And so Carolyn and I are slow dancing with Harry Styles to What Would We Do, Baby, Without Us? I might have to find that and share that on
Yes.
social media this week, Carolyn.
That would be fun.
What would we do, baby, without us? What would we do, baby, without us?
Are we up to number 2?
Yeah.
This is big, you guys. We're getting closer and closer to number 1. In our number 2 spot, we have the theme song from Cheers. Oh. I know. Oh. Cheers was part of the Thursday night lineup on NBC from 1982 until 1993. And the original lyrics of the Cheers theme song were, singing the blues when the Red Sox lose. It's a crisis in your life.
No.
On the run, 'cause all your girlfriends want to be your wife.
No.
And the laundry ticket's in the wash. Exactly. Rick,
Would we be singing that still today? No.
No.
Well, Red
we
Sox
would
fans
not.
would, but we wouldn't.
Right. Right. So the producers are like, no, they sent them back. And then we get Making Your Way in the World Today takes everything you got. Everybody sing. Taking a break from all your worries
sure would help.
a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows you're.
And then you can always go da 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 da.
Yeah,
da,
that's right.
da 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 da.
But I love that line.
I know.
You want to, because isn't that, to me, that is what everybody, that's like this fundamental human need that we all have. It's true. You want to go somewhere where people know your name. I love
Everybody
that
just
line.
wants to belong.
Yes, they want
They
to belong.
nailed it.
They did.
They totally nailed it. That song received an Emmy nomination in 1983 when the show was still kind of in the toilet. It was not that popular with viewers. That was for outstanding achievement in music and lyrics. And both Rolling Stone and TV Guide have named it the greatest theme song of all time, which is very interesting.
Well,
For
not at
me-
PCPS, sorry.
Yeah, right.
Didn't make our number one.
We have our
but
own
whatever.
distinct list. For me, Cheers was a show that I watched in syndication primarily every night at 10:30 p.m. with my college roommates. And the theme song played an important role in that ritual. We didn't just watch the show together. We sang the opening theme song together. And on more than one occasion, one roommate would come running in the door, throw their book bag down on the floor just in time to start singing. It happened all the time. I'm looking at you, Sarah Baker. And the most important parts of the performance were the subtlest part of the song, something that you've probably never noticed, but now I'm going to show you and you'll never not hear it. And it was the ahs in the song. Ah. And if you listen, you can hear it twice. They go, ah. And then they have a really short little ah. Okay. And this is be us. This would be us. Sometimes you wanna go. Okay, now I'll just do the ahs. Okay.
Listeners, we can't just laugh like this without you. Do you guys know that game? And it was like almost like little Sesame Street hard plastic things, and you could push a button on a piano,
yes.
and their little mouths would just open like.
My sister had that,
and it would sing the
Yes.
song. It's like call something. If you guys could have seen Kristen, she didn't want to sing it because she wanted us to hear. But every time they go ah or her mouth went open so high, and her head kind of did the ah.
Well, guess what?
I'm going to clip this video.
Yes.
And we're putting it on our YouTube channel.
Yes,
This
yes.
is too funny.
You have to.
And quite
to
often
do
we
that.
weren't singing it out loud. We were
Just
being
doing
the
that?
little toy on the piano. We're just opening our mouths wide and like moving with it. And now,
love it.
of course, that is what we still do in my house. And every time the theme song is on, when it gets to the ahs, Mike just turns his head to watch me.
Yeah. Well, and this is one of those themes that, you know what? We live in just a amazing time, don't we? Because we can watch every episode of Cheers. If I wanted to start at episode 1 and end at episode, 896, I could do it today. Mm-hmm. But these are my comfort shows, right? Because I did watch them every Thursday night. Brian, this is a show Brian and I watched all the time together on Thursday nights. And this is one of those that when it comes up and it gives you the choice to skip intro. We talked about this with Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
How dare anybody ever click skip intro?
Can you imagine?
That's one reason I put it on when I'm
That's
like making
right.
breakfast or something.
That's right. It's the feel-good part.
It's part of the experience. It sets you up
Yeah.
for the show.
true.
They write these shows knowing that you're coming into it right off of that, those notes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
You're coming running in from the library after a hard night of studying, and you just want to sing the ahs.
Gosh.
I will never not hear that now.
Yes.
It's true. You'll never not hear
But
it,
I'm
and you're
gonna
going to
do
have to
just
sing
like,
it.
but I'm going to, no, I'm not going to sing it. I'm doing just like what you do, but I have to do that with my head too.
And then the little short one at the
And
end.
you
where
just go, that's when you just,
Yeah.
you're just that little, what is that game called? Listeners, it's,
I
I'm going
think
to find
it was
it and I'm going to post it.
keyboard. I mean, I
It
think
is
for
like
my
a
sister,
keyboard.
it's like a little piano, but I thought it
totally
played
right.
the note. Like,
No, you're totally right. I'm calling it a game, but it's like a toy. Let's just say toy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm finding it? It's going on social media sometime this week.
That's our number 2 song. Cheers.
So
And
good.
now, drum roll, please. It is time to reveal the number 1 most popular TV theme song of the 80s as voted by the Pop Culture Preservation Society.
Ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, our number one is just that. Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, I'm walking.
Walking on air, I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me.
In case you've been living under a rock, ladies and gentlemen, that happens to be the theme song for The Greatest American Hero, which I actually loved that show. Lots of people will say, I never watched it, but I love the song. I loved Connie Selica. Remember Connie Selica?
I do.
I thought she
was on the cover of
gorgeous.
Dynamite.
Her hair.
Yes, and she was married to Gil Gerard. I don't know
So-
if you remember
Oh,
Gil
she
Gerard,
was?
Buck
Yeah.
Rogers.
Oh,
Yes.
they're a
Funny.
gorgeous couple. And she was in Battle of the Network Stars all the time.
All the
Yes.
time.
I loved her.
Loved her, loved her, loved her. Well, believe it or not, actually reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1981. And as you just heard it, I'm sure you could have also heard us belting that song out, each one of us, somewhere in 1981. That's how much we love that song. Now, guess what? The song was written by Kristen's friend and yours, Mike Post, along with help from Stephen Gayer, and performed by the one and only one-hit wonder, poor Joey Scarberry. Does anyone else ever say Joey Scarborough when they say his
All
name?
the
Or is that just
time.
Yeah, that's what I thought
yes.
it was.
No,
Oh,
it's
no, it's
Scarberry.
Scarberry.
It's one of those things that I'm like, what? It's not Scarborough.
That's right. And I
Yeah, but
probably
why would you call him poor? He has to have made a killing on that one.
Well,
hit
I
wonder,
know,
right?
but you know
I hope
what?
so.
So, because of the song's phenomenal success, it prompted Elektra Records to sign Joey to an exclusive deal. And his debut album included songs written by Bruce Hornsby and Dan Seals, who happened to have a duet with Marie Osmond. And you would think with some songwriters like that, Joey would have had a lot of hit singles. But that would not be true.
Oh.
His solo career never did take off, but he did sing the theme song to Hardcastle and McCormick. I don't know if you guys watched that.
How did
did
that not
not.
make our list?
The only reason I remember that show, I was all excited because the actor, and I should look it up, but I don't remember his real name, but he was the actor who had played Frank Ryan on Ryan's Hope. And I was
Oh.
like, oh, he must be a real actor. He's on like at nighttime.
A real actor.
Ooh.
Daytime, not real.
That's right. That's right. And believe it or not, has woven its way into some other pop culture moments that you all might remember. Do you remember the Seinfeld episode where George has a answering machine message? Remember answering machines, you guys?
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep. I must be out before I pick up the phone. Where could I be? Believe it or not, I'm not home.
Oh gosh, I love that. George is so funny. Oh my gosh. It's so funny that Kristen is snorting. Oh my goodness. So yes, again, rounding out our top 10 is the one and only Believe It or Not.
Just like the light of a new day, it hit me from out of the blue, breaking me out of the spell I was in, making all of my wishes come true.
So maybe one of the reasons that we loved some of these songs so much is because we actually heard them more than just once a week, because they actually were hits on the radio. As we've already talked about, we had The Greatest American Hero, Cheers, Moonlighting, Magnum P.I., Hill Street Blues, all getting lots of radio play and charting. Some other 80s theme songs that also charted, believe this or not. I cracked myself up.
Believe it or not. You have to start every fun fact with that now. Believe
you know
it
what?
or not.
WKRP in Cincinnati actually hit number
Oh,
65 on the
that's a
top
good song.
100.
Did that one make our list last time? I need to go back and listen, just like I suggested
I don't
for the listeners to
remember.
do. I need to go back this week and listen to our July 2021
Yeah,
TV
I don't
theme
remember if
songs
that made it
episode.
in or not.
It was all 70s. It was all, well, no, because we had Love Boat and stuff on there. So
Yeah, we
there
did.
were some 80s, some shows that squeaked into 80s. Family Ties.
All right, now this one kind of shocked me that it did not make our list because it hit number 1 on the Hot 100 in 1985. Can you guys guess what I'm
Oh.
talking about? Number 1
1985.
in
and it hit number
1985.
one?
And this
Is
is
it
not
like
even.
Dynasty or something?
No, it is Miami Vice.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
sure.
of course.
We did get votes. People
We
did
did.
vote.
Oh,
We
okay,
did.
okay.
It just didn't make it.
It
Yeah.
just didn't make
Okay.
it in. But that was a huge song. That was a huge song.
Number
also
1.
huge for high school bands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that would have been in 1985 when you might have been in high school, Michelle. Right?
That is
I
so
was in high
interesting.
school in 1985. I was a sophomore in high school. Do you know what else is interesting about some of these songs that made our list? And then, like you're just saying, this theme was the top of the radio charts.
Mm-hmm.
What we don't get anymore is instrumentals. We get a lot of instrumental TV theme songs now, but we had a lot of instrumentals on the radio. I mean,
Yeah, we
even
did.
non-TV theme songs like Music Box Dancer and, Nadia's theme and things. We don't get a lot of instrumentals
No.
anymore. By that, I mean zero. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because of the lack of those things being on TV, because that was kind of the vehicle for making them popular. Even Nadia's theme was because it was Young and the Restless theme and then the Olympics, right? It was Nadia. And I don't think, where would we hear them? Right? Where would
Yeah.
we hear
Well,
them?
everything's so different now. Even radio is so
Right.
different now.
Mhm. And they followed a song structure. Like, even though they were instrumentals, they still had a song structure. And now the theme songs certainly don't have that.
Lastly, I wanted to talk about, believe it or not. I'm sorry. Golly. Who knows how many times I say that?
Believe
Okay.
it or not.
Every time you say
I'm
"Believe It or
walking
Not,"
on
I
air.
don't know if you're talking about the song because you actually say "Believe It or Not" a lot.
A lot. Mhm.
So every
Oh.
time you say "Believe It or Not," I'm like, "Where's this going?"
I'm
Oh
walking
my
on air.
gosh, without a doubt, and believe it or not, those are my little, okay. Well, the theme from Dynasty, you guys, hit number 18 on the adult contemporary charts in 1982. And I've got a few rabbit hole fun facts about this. And I'm going to share them, whether or not you want to hear them. So Dynasty's theme was written by composer Bill Conti, who was
Oh.
still flying high from the recent success of his film score from the movie Rocky.
That's big.
So that is right. So we've got flying high now to the Dynasty theme song. Not only did he do Rocky, he also composed the film scores for Karate Kid and the James Bond film For Your Eyes Only, which I
he's kind
loved.
of an 80s king.
Yes, and I love that
yeah.
song. You remember Sheena Easton?
For your eyes only.
Or even the beginning, like, for your eyes only. Well, I can't sing. Take that all out. Can you take me through the night? Okay. He also did some other TV theme songs, including the Dynasty spinoff, The Colbys. He did
I forgot about that.
Falcon Crest.
I watched
and Cagney and Lacey.
I love Cagney and Lacey.
Did you really watch that?
Oh, of course, with my parents. My
Yes,
parents
I loved it. My mother
My parents
loved.
think that Cagney and Lacey is like a current show.
Yeah, my mom loved Tyne Daly. And then when I found out who her brother was, and because then I watched Wings and
I
all
loved
that.
Wings.
So,
Oh my
Wings
god.
was
Tim
so good.
Daly is her brother.
Yes.
Yeah, her
That's
little
another
brother.
show you can still catch on some streaming service. Wings. Mm-hmm. And I loved that show.
So those were just a few songs that were TV themes that made for hits on the radio.
They were actual hits on the radio, and that's why we heard them all the time, even if we didn't watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can't neglect a couple of songs that made our honorable mention list, or themes that didn't make this list that we really wish would have. We were shocked that these songs didn't make the list.
So here's a song that could not be included in our countdown, even though it got a lot of votes. And the weird thing is, I was certain that I was the only person who even knew this song / show, let alone loved it. But no, I am not alone. And that song is Making It by David Naughton from the show Making It. Making it. Do, 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 do.
I'm making it. I've got the chance. I'm taking it. No more begging.
Yeah, we're all doing our thumbs right now. We're doing our thumbs. I love the song so much. It's the only song that I requested of the DJ at my Worldwide Crush launch party. And I thought I would be out there on the dance floor all by myself. But no, our special guest, Megan McCafferty, author of the Jessica Darling series, who flew all the way to Minnesota from New Jersey for my party, is on the dance floor with me, singing every single word. She knows all the words just like I do. And it's sort of like I'm looking in a mirror while she's singing. I'm like, what?
It was
You
kind of
know
surreal to
this
watch
song?
it. Too.
It was
Yes.
crazy, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So I'm like, all right, I guess there are 2 people who watched this show. But there were others. But apparently we're not the only 2, because on the post, there were lots of people who mentioned making it and they loved making it. But alas, this show is disqualified from our countdown because it aired only in 1979. It never cracked the 80s, so it doesn't qualify. But it gets even weirder, you guys. It turns out that this show that I loved so much was on for 9 episodes.
That's it.
That is all. It was only on in February and March of 1979. That's it. And from that 8-week period in February and March of 1979, I have a lifelong memory of a favorite song, and I am not the only one. That is bizarre.
Wow.
Right. Another thing that's great, if we have any space in the Weekly Reader this week, we need to put the video, the YouTube clip of him performing it and doing the dance. It'll make your entire week. You know what? There's room in the Weekly Reader. It's going in. It's so great. Well, my honorable mention is very similar to yours. It left such an impression on me. This is a theme song that actually did make my personal top 5 list. Even at number 5, it's one that still gives me goosebumps every time I sing it. Hear it. No matter how atrocious the vocals are, either by me or the person who's singing it. And that's a little song that goes like this. Something magic in the way you hold me in your eyes.
No one ever warned me, love just takes you by surprise.
The theme song, ladies and gentlemen, to Joni Loves Chachi. And I would really, really like to publicly thank our Instagram, our society member, Insomnia in Chicago, who also felt this song deserved to make the top 10 because she actually was brave enough to leave that as her comment.
The one
when we
person.
asked. Yes.
The one person.
Hey, I feel seen though, Insomnia in Chicago. I feel so seen. Joni Loves Chachi was only on for, it's either 13 or 17 episodes. I'm going to err just to common sense and say 13. But you guys all know, and longtime listeners know, that Chachi was my world. And so that song was everything to me. And there was nothing that could light up my world like watching him perform that theme song at the piano, under the spotlight. The trumpets come in at the end. It's magical.
Look at me, soft as any touch could be, and suddenly there's magic when you look at me.
Okay, the other thing that popped up quite a lot that didn't make it into the countdown, but we just want to acknowledge, was Reading Rainbow. A lot of people really love the theme song to Reading Rainbow, the reading show on PBS that is hosted by LeVar Burton. Who doesn't love LeVar Burton, right? It aired from 1983 to 2006. But that made me think of 2 other 1980s kids show themes that were such earworms for me. One of them was the show 3-2-1 Contact. 3, 2, 1, contact. It's a feeling. It's a something. And so this was like a super science-y educational show that we actually got to watch in school sometimes. And then there was another show on right before school called The Great Space Coaster.
I
Do you
don't know
remember the
that
Great
one.
Space
No.
Coaster? It's the Great Space Coaster. Get on board. It's the Great
No.
Space Coaster. We'll
What year?
explode.
80s?
It would be early 80s, I think. Or, early to mid 80s. And it might have been on because my sister was watching it. I might have been too old for it. I don't have any dates for that. But I know that there are people out there listening who watched The Great Space Coaster. And that was an awesome theme song.
Great Space Coaster, get on board on the Great Space Coaster. We'll explore a comet ride, a fantasy, to a place where dreams fly fast and free.
With new friends and new things to see.
We'll spin you through the galaxy.
Okay, once again, our generation is the beneficiary of something that might never be again. These songs that signaled to us that it was time for our favorite show are little touchstones that help us recall happy times. They're like little joy triggers, right? And it's not a thing anymore. If you're lucky to get like a riff, maybe, on a TV show, and I'm guessing most people just click skip intro anyway, without knowing that they might be robbing themselves of their future nostalgia.
Right.
Think about that.
No more skipping intros, people.
No more. No more. If you love a show, you better watch that intro and let that earworm sink into your brain so that when you're 55 years old and you hear it, you'll get all warm and nipply. Thank you, everybody, for listening today. And let's all be grateful that we were born in the golden age of TV theme songs.
God
Hallelujah.
bless us.
If you like our conversations and would like others to feel the same joy you're getting from these Gen X memories, it's super easy to get the word out. 1, you can actually get the word out by sharing our podcast with others. Very literal there. And 2, you can rate and review our podcast where you listen. That is tremendously helpful in letting others know about us and tell them why you love it. And to our friends who go the extra mile for us on Patreon, you guys literally keep the gas in our tanks so we can keep doing what we love and what you love. Thank you so much. Today, we're giving a special shout out to patrons Cheryl, Amanda, Elizabeth, Patricia, Kathy, Kevin, and Cara.
And we want to thank all of you who engage on our social media. It's such a great for you to interact with other society members. So if you don't already follow us, look for us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. All the socials, as the kids say.
So many. That's so many.
I know. Please don't add any more social media world.
No,
We're barely hanging on.
We're hanging on by a thread.
And if you'd like to get some extra info about this episode and maybe see some video clips of the songs that we're referencing, all of these old shows that you haven't seen for years and years and years, make sure you're signed up for our email newsletter called The Weekly Reader. It's free. It only comes once a week, and it's very easy to do. Just go to our website, poppreservationists.com, or you can also go to our link in bio and follow our link tree. In the meantime, let's raise our glasses for a toast, courtesy of the cast of Three's Company, to good times.
To happy days.
To Little House on the Prairie.
Cheers.
Cheers.
The information, opinions, and comments expressed on the Pop Culture Preservation Society podcast belong solely to Carolyn, the Crushologist, and Hello Newman, and are in no way representative of our employers or affiliates. And though we truly believe we are always right, there is always a first time. The PCPS is written, produced, and recorded in Minneapolis, Minnesota, home of the fictional WJM Studios and our beloved Mary Richards. Nanu Nanu, keep on trucking, and may the force be with you.
Keep moving.